Okay, it's November 13th at 5 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. We will start off with the pledge of allegiance. Right hand over your heart. And begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do you have any public comments today? No. Moving on then. All right. It's all you. Figure out what we're gonna do.
So first of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. John Pendergrass. He is from Power School. He is here to give us a little presentation, a very short presentation on the HR software and to answer some questions for us. So give him just a second and he will be allowed to show his slides.
There you go.
Okay, John, can you hear us?
I can. Thank you very much for having us tonight.
All right, so thank you again for your time. Wanted to ask you a couple of questions to help us understand how we can use and how Power School can support us. So I want to give you a couple of scenarios and then I'll hand it off to you so that you can answer those scenarios for us as you go. So my question to you, the first one is AB 2534s. Those are something that through your software would be taken care of. My question is, we ran into a situation where we had an employee who did not disclose all the information. So how do we prevent that from happening? So that would be my first question I'd like for you to address as you're doing it. My other question for you is, if we have a candidate who'd like to apply, they go to EdJoin. How do they get to apply if they go to EdJoin using Power School?
Excellent. All right. Thank you very much for those two questions. I'll absolutely address those. I'm going to share just a couple of slides. It's going to address them as well, right? We're going to just show a couple of things that will talk about some of the other features and benefits for the Acton-Agua Dulce school district as well. So again, thank you for having us tonight. I'm going to see if I can press the magic button and make the slides work. 1 second. There, that should do it. Well, it's not yet. Oh, 1 moment.
John, you should have an option that it says share in the middle, in the bottom.
Yeah, I'm getting the option. It's not allowing me to pull up this document. So we'll figure out how to get there. There it is. Got it. All right.
There you go.
Can you guys see that okay?
Yes.
All right. So with applicant tracking and with records, really the combination of the two solutions that we're talking about doing. Let's talk about AB 2534 first, and then follow up with how we partner with EdJoin, how other districts in California are using EdJoin, along with what we do with applicant tracking. What you see on the screen now is really a listing of a number of the features that are built into applicant tracking. The very first one that you see there is employment history verification. So that one, along with background screening that can be automated as well, those processes are done automatically, set up in the process in the interview and application process when your district chooses to have them set up. And that can actually be at different times for different types of applications. If you want to do them all at the front, that's great. If you want to wait until later in the process for some of them, you can do that just as well, right? So what our partner districts in California that are using this already are doing is they're automating the employment history, they're automating the background screening, and both of those draw from the applications that the candidates fill out, right? They build a profile, and that information is drawn from it. Then what we include in that application process is an attestation form that basically says that all of the information that's here on my application is complete, thorough, and true. And if there is anything that's found out in that process that has not been included, it's automatic grounds for termination, right? So typically in the districts, again, that are using it, that's enough to make sure that every box is checked, every employer is done, right? So the real benefit to you guys is those processes are automated. So as soon as that application is submitted for a position, you can begin that process of verifying their employment, seeing if there's any egregious or unacceptable behavior, and then rule out people as you need to do that. That's a very quick process, and again, with the automation, it gives you that. It also gives you that paper trail to be able to come back to anybody on the outside, any stakeholders, and say, this is how we support this process. Does that answer that question pretty well for you guys?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Beautiful. So the second question you asked is, candidates go to EdJoin, how do they apply? So our partner districts in California that are using our applicant tracking solution, basically what we do is we embed a link in EdJoin. So it's no different than what you're doing today. That link just takes you, instead of to the EdJoin application, it takes you to our application. And that application, it's got a much higher level of user friendliness. The user interface has been updated, and it gives you the access then in the application to all of the things that you see in front of you now. So all the automation, all the automated scheduling, all the background checks and everything else, as well as integrating with the onboarding process that we'll be talking about, and even having information available to import, export to your ERP system, to your record system, and things like that. So what you really get in doing this, and this is what our partners have told us, two things. You get the benefit of having the EdJoin familiarity and the job board that they have there in the state of California. But then you also get access to our job board, which is actually nationwide. And with that nationwide job board, you just get an expansive number of candidates because we partner as well with Indeed. So the districts in California and other states that are using it, what they're finding almost immediately is a dramatic increase in the number of classified applicants that they get because of that Indeed link, right? So teachers in California know EdJoin, teachers across the country know PowerSchool and our job board, which is called SchoolSpring, right? But the people that you're hiring for those classified positions, an electrician, a carpenter, somebody that would do food service or custodial positions, they don't necessarily know EdJoin, but they do know Indeed, right? So that we have seen dramatic upticks in the number of those applicants really at districts in California and across the country. So those are the two questions that you asked so far. Based on what you see on the screen, are there any other questions that you would like us to address?
I want to be sure that we also address the keeping track of the documentation that the employees need to present. Because, for example, we found an employee who's been with us close to 10 years that never completed the form for their life insurance. If something were to have happened to them during that time, we didn't have that documentation. So I want to see how you address that also, please.
Sure. So once we get to the end of the application process and you have identified the candidate or candidates that you're going to hire, with one click of a button, it's called Begin Hire, we actually create their employee profile. And with that employee profile becomes their, I'm going to skip over a couple of slides here to get to it. There. You skip to, I'm sorry, what it will do is it creates the onboarding profile. And in that onboarding profile, it gives you a list of all the tasks that have to be done for onboarding. And as you can see on the screen there, then all of the employees that are going through the hiring process. So this is completely automated. We've actually updated our software to be able to even reproduce documents like insurance enrollment forms. So now all your employees literally can do every document and every task they need to do online before they come and see you. It's a huge time savings for them. It's a huge time savings for your team. It makes the process go more quickly. And in today's employment environment, if things aren't easy and quick, employees are just less apt to do them, right? So we wanted to make it quick and easy, but you can kind of see on the screen there, it's kind of a kind of an eye chart, so you can't read it necessarily, but it's a list of all the tasks. And once those tasks are completed online, then they're checked off. It's updated in real time. So your hiring team, whether it's your HR team, whether it's principals, administrators, whoever you give access to in the system, they can see at a glance where their employees are in the process. System can give reminders if you need to nudge somebody. Some of our partner districts have even found some internal kind of stopping points where information is getting to a certain point and then it's not moving forward. So they've been able to alleviate some of those to speed up the process as well. So it really is one of my favorite parts of onboarding and records. It's just that ability to manage a process, have real-time information, push it through as much as you need to.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions I can answer for you guys?
As far as employee records, are you retaining those or will we be retaining all the records for the employees?
Yeah, those are your records, right? So if for whatever reason, in 5 years or 10 years from now, you move to a different system or you want to bring it all back in-house or whatever, it's a very simple process for us to download not only the data, but any documents that have been stored there as well. Our storage is with Amazon Web Services. So literally crunch all you want, we can store more. But yeah, that's your information, those are your forms. So you retain access to them.
When you say we retain access to them, do you guys also retain access to them throughout its life or?
Yeah, so we don't delete anything. So if there are forms that you have to keep, from a mandated standpoint for a certain amount of time, you can do that. If our partner districts choose to delete forms along the way, you can do that. We don't delete anything ever. So it's just a better way for us to do things, is to make sure that we have access to all of it. We've got unlimited storage and the ability to do that. So, but if you do want to, not retain documents after 7 years, if an employee leaves, what have you, you have the ability to delete those at any time.
That's all I.
Okay, so I have a number of questions. Let's start with staff.
Okay.
I have a comment here. The employee that I have 20% management in is the superintendent. I have no management interest in any other employee of any part of the organization, and my contact with staff would tend to be student related as a parent. I may run into people at some function and say hi and have fun with people, but at no time do I give staff direction. And I don't give people direction without a majority of the other board members to make a quorum, and we would not give direction here tonight. So along those lines, I'm not big on making decisions about what tools staff needs to do their job. That said, it strikes me that you look just like me, sir. And so I remember you, and I think I recall this being on the agenda before.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And this is the exact same software.
It's almost the exact same software.
So outside of improvements to your,
Yes, sir.
okay, so I'm gonna be on staff right now. So I seem to recall that somehow this became a board discussion about issues with staff. And somehow this didn't get the light of day.
No, it was taken off of the agenda.
But it seemed to me that there was a live discussion.
I believe there was, right, Dr. Salakian? Yes.
Okay. Would we agree? I don't want to put the chairperson on board in a spotlight here, but unless I'm naive, the idea is that we would come out of here feeling okay about this or not.
That's my idea.
Okay. So that said, the first question I have with staff, does this software promote reductions in staff?
No,
Okay, by reduction in staff, I want you to think about this. Let's say that we have a certain number of people in HR and we wouldn't find ourselves if someone retired or decided to go somewhere else that currently helps process onboarding and recruiting, that we wouldn't see a situation where we would age a position because we really don't need someone there to the point where we said after a year and a half, 39 months, whatever it is, we don't need that. That this software would help promote that kind of tactic.
no, it would not.
Okay,
John did indicate, he mentioned HR team. Well, team of one,
okay.
just. a question.
So, again, I don't wanna put you on in the spotlight here as the director of HR. I'm very familiar with HR directors. This is the first decent conversation I've ever had with one. Does the current methodology of doing this impede timeliness of recruitment process?
Yes,
Does it impede efficiency?
it can, because of the fact that it's like, it's literally, I have everything in files and I have to pull the forms for each employee. And, sometimes it's like, okay, did they miss one? Did they not see this? And you don't catch that until you're inputting information into the system and it's like, oh, I don't have this. Then you have to track that employee down who has now started and you have to stay on top of them to get those forms. Where this would keep track of everything and you would see that before you get to where it's your first day.
Do you see that the current process could impede access to a potential candidate pool, potential being the key word? Would this expand your access to a candidate pool?
I believe it would, especially being partnered with Indeed, because it's gonna be more people that are seeing the job openings that we have.
5
Okay, does the current process, this is a tricky question, I'm gonna read between the lines. Does the current process impede candidate ownership of employment history and revelation of facts?
Currently, yes, it can, where because of what they add to the application, it should eliminate that that potential for not everything being put out there on the application, because it specifically will tell them if it's found that you did not disclose everything, it's grounds for termination.
So let's say within the job description, which I think goes through the board.
Yes,
Okay, so we wouldn't find ourselves updating job descriptions in the office for, say, an interest of, say, I want to put my daughter in the legal position as soon as she graduates. So all of this job descriptions are board approved.
correct.
And if there's modification to them, they would come to the board
Yes, sir.
before they're posted.
Yes,
Good. So let's say I'm going through this and I see that I don't have a required, there's desired and required. And I'm a person that's filling this out. When it comes to that checkbox, I would have the ability to say, no, I don't have that, or I could look at it and say, yeah, this isn't for me. So by looking at the application and by checking the boxes, the candidate could do a self-evaluation as to whether or not I am a good candidate for this job, or even to take it to the next step and say, the next time I see a job like this, I think that I would benefit from this or this.
correct.
Is that possible? Doppelganger, Mr. Doppelganger, is that accurate where someone could look at it and say, I'm just not the right fit, or I need some additional training, or is that a valid theory?
Yeah, that's correct. We've actually made a couple of updates on the candidate's ability to look at a position, save it for later, whether it's something they want to apply to a year from now or just a week from now because they're busy doing whatever. We've updated that capability. That also allows you guys the ability to see applications that are in process or in progress as well.
Okay, so likewise, if I had a problem somewhere else.
Mhm.
And there was, a question on there. I could at that time self-determine that, yeah, this one probably isn't for me, rather than to carry on with the process and hope that. I understand how difficult it is for someone to get on the phone. And ask someone else and try to read between the lines of what they're not telling you in the old, they were employed here and that's all they say. Are there vendor, back to you. Are
Mhm.
there any bots built into your program that make determinations that could be thought of? Is that something staff should have decided and not the programming?
No, there's no, if you're referring to AI or anything like that, there's nothing in here that makes decisions for you. There are some things that you can rank candidates, and there are things that can disqualify candidates, but those are things that are set up by the district. So you have control over that. There's nothing in the software that's going to make a decision for a human.
So unless we're asked, unless we ask, pull me the top 90, the 90th percentile, the program just does not automatically sort through somehow and say, these are most likely based on the job description, your top 5 candidates for the first interview round.
Now, it can do that if that's how you set it up.
If you
So,
ask.
yep, it can set it up to where it will show you based on specific criteria, whether that's experience or education or certifications. It can highlight those, but it's not going to exclude anybody, and unless you set it up to exclude somebody based on the fact that you've seen them apply 25 times and you know that they're not a candidate. I mean, the system can do a lot of things for you, but again, it's only going to do the things that you ask it to do.
Okay, 2 questions about legal stuff. Are you aware of any actions that have been brought against the company in which people felt that the software unfairly excluded them from consideration?
I am not aware of anything like that. We've been partnering with human resources departments and school districts for years, and have human resources and legal departments. So we evaluate every and all of the things that are included in our software programs to make sure that they meet all federal hiring standards.
Okay, are your records discoverable in a subpoena?
Our records can be discoverable. We actually can set up, and we do this not more from a legal side, but at times when our partner districts are audited, you can actually set up a persona and give permissions to an auditor to see the things that they need to see.
So what I'm saying is, let's say I wanted to name the district in an unfair hiring process and I named you as one of Doe 1 through 10. Have you ever been pressured outside of a district saying, yeah, go ahead and release this information to audit, or having a third party come after you and want the records that the district would not give you or them?
So I'm not a lawyer and don't play one on TV. I'm not aware of a scenario like that. If there are legal questions that need to be taken a deeper dive into, we're happy to answer those. But in the time I've been here, almost 4 years now, I haven't heard of a single case where somebody has sued to get access. Again, we give our partner districts access to anything and everything in there. So any records that need to be accessed, they've got full ability to do that.
Can you tell me how long it's been since this contract was in front of the board and pulled off the agenda?
Probably at least 4 months,
At least.
at least
I would say
4 months.
6 months.
Yes.
Okay, I would appreciate if you could find that out and email myself and the chair with that information as a follow-up. Okay, at the end of the contract, the data is delivered, could be delivered in some common form that everybody might use, like Excel.
Right.
Good. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
John, on the first slide, one of the bullet points indicated reference checking.
Yeah.
What does that capacity look like within Power Support Group?
Yeah, so automated reference checking in their profile that the applicants create, it gives a section for references. Those references, they ask for the contact information, email address, phone number. When your hiring team sets up the kind of the application process, again, it's customizable where you would put the reference check in the application process. Some do it at the beginning, some do it in the middle. It just depends on where you want to do it. But wherever you put it, once you get to that step in the process, it's automatically triggered, and those emails are sent out to whoever the references are. And then your hiring team then has access to see where that is in process, and can send reminders, can send a second email request if that's what you want to do. A lot of our partner districts actually will turn around and nudge the candidate if they haven't gotten a response yet and say, look, we'd definitely like to move forward, but your reference hasn't responded yet. So, but you get to have that again, just like the onboarding checklist. It's a hiring checklist that says, hey, this reference isn't complete yet.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? John, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And I will be reaching out to you.
Yeah, thank you guys. And if you do like me, if you get off and you forgot to ask that one question, please have it get to Jackie. We'll get that answered and make sure that you have all the information that you guys need. And thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you.
He's gone?
Yes.
Okay. My questions were far outside of what I'd typically be comfortable with asking staff with the superintendent with the conditions that I described at the onset. But I think I asked some pretty serious questions, and I'm gonna be very careful here. The one question I didn't ask the gentleman or staff is, since we started looking at a program like this, how many, I'll leave that alone. You can finish that question yourself. So I'm in support of this.
So am I. I think it's a good deal. I don't understand how you've been doing it without it. I really don't. I mean, even the businesses that we operate, we use guest deals, but it's all included into a package. You send it out and it's retained there. So I'm not sure why we haven't been doing this a long time ago, to be honest with you. So I'm in support of it too.
So just remember, I asked the very serious questions, getting down, way down and deep in the ocean about how this would eliminate staff or reduce positions, real, intentional, perceived, any of that. I think that the subcommittee's recommendation out there will save a lot of unnecessary conversation, but people will do what they do.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
Okay, so the policies that we're looking at today, the first one is the district and school website. It was last adopted by the district in 2005. This is a recommendation from the California School Board Association. It was updated in June of 2025, so it's 20 years. Many of the things that it talks about is the design of the website. They want to be sure that the district website maintains consistency, that it has a professional appearance, and that it's easy to use for anyone who goes to the district website. It wants to be sure that there are no harmful materials, that is being monitored. The design needs to address accessibility of the district and school websites to individuals with disability, including compatibility with commonly used assistive technologies. It wants to be sure that telephone numbers and home and email addresses for students, parents, and staff are never provided on the website. It also gives us a couple of options as far as student pictures being used on the website. And one of the options is that it can be published on the website unless the student's parents or guardians has notified the district in writing to not release the student's photograph without prior consent. So they may have said, no, you can't release it, but that doesn't mean we're going to say no if you should ask. But we would have to be sure to get that written consent. The other option is that photographs of students will not be published on the district website accompanied by student's name without written prior consent. So without the student's name, yes, it could be published, but if you're going to also include the student's name, then we have to be sure that we have that authorizations. And then personal information of board members is not to be published on the district website other than as it is now on the Board of Trustees page where it just shows your picture, your name, your term, and you give like just a little bio, but other than that specifically says you don't release, like what area you're living in, any kind of personal information. So that is very explicitly spelled out in the new updated policy. Any questions on that policy?
So do we have to pick one of these options? Is it saying that we have to have a photograph option in the actual policy?
It gives you the option to pick one or two, but remember same as what we did with the cell phone, we chose to go with both options, so we can make that decision or not make a specific option and just be sure that we have permission.
I see problem with both options, because if on the first one, if somebody puts a photo of a student, I don't know, whether a game or whatever on the website, and they didn't check to see if there's any type of form, now you got a parent saying, hey, you know what, we did do the form and now you breached that. The other option is you still have liability, because now if you publish one, right? And let's see here, published with the district website accompanied by a student's name without prior consent. So you have somebody just arbitrarily putting it on the website, again, without checking. Now you still have liability. So I'm thinking, how do we do it now? Is there no such thing as far as any policies looking at, or no guidance on that?
It's for social media pages and anything on the website, be it even Instagram and Facebook. So, I'll take photos, being the pseudo communications person. And then for the respective school site, I'll ask the principals, the office secretaries, the clerks, can you take a look at which photos am I not allowed to use and to upload as an image? And then they'll go ahead and make sure that they go through the permission slips that have been provided. If there is no permission slip, they'll even contact the parent to say, I know it's happened at Meadowlark, can we use this? They're part of this group. Parent might say yes or no. If it's a no, then I'll either blur their face or camouflage it somehow and then use the image. But
if somebody looked up our policy right now, as far as websites and student photographs, what are they gonna actually see right now?
It doesn't
Show anything, right? So once we start showing this, now they have a tool to say, hey, you know what? I got my kid on this website and I'm gonna sign this release form. So now, what happens now? Now that we're in violation of our own policy. So what I'm saying is, if it's not requiring us to actually have this,
Correct.
I'm more inclined to just leaving it out altogether, so we don't have that future liability. Because once we put it in writing, it's a done deal.
it's recommended language.
With registration packets, all parents say, photo release. So it either says yes or no. That's a current practice and has been as long as I've been here. And then in Aries, you can print a list of all the students that have either yes or no. From a site level, what we have bigger concerns with is most parents don't have an issue with us utilizing it for our purposes. But our form is very generic and broad, and so it includes like newspapers and things like that. Like the AV Press or, the Acton-Agua, Dulce News, etc. And so where we're seeing actual parent questions at the site level is that parents are okay with us using it like in our school newsletter or things like that, but they want to know if it's gonna go outside of that use. And so we actually, from a site level, would like to see our form specify district use versus outside use. So that it gives parents the options to say, yes, the district can use it. I have no problem with you guys using it, but if it goes outside, then I want to be notified.
How do we check these forms? Once the parent signs it, turns it back to the district, where do they go? And how does a teacher or somebody, the other staff, have access to that form to be able to say, hey, you know what, let me check if that person's on here? Is it something that's readily available for everybody to pull up?
Yes.
And
So
it's a field in Aries that says either yes or no for photo release.
Yeah, I like having that form that you're talking about and continue to do that. I just don't want it written down in the policy somewhere where, you know, they can also pull it up. I mean, that form is always good to have, but
Right.
I don't know, what's your thoughts on
Okay, I'm gonna describe a situation completely theoretical. Let's say you have a nationwide something or other where they shut down the schools. And let's say at some point they decide to do a limited, the students start coming back. And let's say that the criteria for those students is that they have the worst grades, meaning they're a Title student, a Title I student. So now instead of us having this thing that requires a mask, we're sorting people by their disability, by their intellectual disability. And then we don't even think about that. And we're gonna bring everybody back to the high school and we're gonna have everybody come in from the parent groups and take a bunch of pictures and say, there's Tammy and everyone as cognitively limited as her. Yay, they're coming back to school and the kids with the least potential get to come back to school first while your kid is over here languishing. Does this sound familiar to anyone? And so I have to get on the phone and go, what are you doing? And we're gonna have the cameras going and we're gonna have all kinds of yay, go team. Yeah, no, this thing is, imagine that.
I personally, I mean, I wouldn't, I don't think we should publish student names, we don't.
Right.
No.
I don't even think.
Yeah,
we
but
should
how is
do it.
my kid gonna be singled out to be the most favorite kid that shows up in the newspaper and on the television every week, so I get the scholarship while he doesn't? This is rife with problems. Next thing, when we publish stuff, all I gotta do is right click and paste it to my Instagram page and goes, there's my kid and the kid in the background. I don't know what to do. I would think that we might table this and we would give a presentation to the board about a couple other things. What I'm really interested in is this uniformity across sites. Some sites have always been better than others. Some sites keep their calendars up, some sites don't. It's been a lot better now. Some sites understand the importance of covering things like CAC and things like that. I would really like somebody to sit down with the IT people and say, what amount of your time, I'm not auditing anyone, but what amount of time do you have and what are your capabilities to build, add, maintain, and keep the information current? I would like to see basically a presentation that says, this is the flow chart of how that work happens. And realistically, what can the IT team do? Sometimes it's better to keep it simple and just click on things. But it becomes really easy to just add documents on, and then you've got this big long list of things to dump into archives, this, how does all that work? And what's the workflow look like on that? So I think IT is a big part of this, and just kind of an overview of what website maintenance looks like and how it's coordinated. And I think you bring this in and kind of get open board discussion. What do you think?
I mean, I like all the other things mentioned in this new policy update. It's just this, I would take this out. For me, I would take that out and I would do the same thing that you're already doing at the site level and then.
Which we can do, because this is the recommendation from CSBA, but it doesn't mean you have to accept every single
And
part.
we can do generally more restrictive
Correct,
and not less.
correct.
If you don't, I'm just saying that I think a presentation at some point would be nice and focus under IT. If you need a recommendation, I would agree with the chair that we would leave as is and not have to introduce this language, because I don't think it protects anybody.
And Mrs. Urgic, perhaps, for the presentation information, item, we could start off by, what we have in place right now as far as practice. And documentation.
I don't think there's an urgency to this.
Yes, sir.
Moving on.
Okay, so the next one is recognition of religious beliefs and customs, and this is for both policy and regulation. The biggest changes is that the instruction will be consistent with the adopted instructional materials and state standards. You must treat all religion and religious convictions, including non-belief, with fairness and respect. That the use of religious symbols that are part of a religious holiday is permitted as a teaching aid or resource, provided that such symbols are displayed as an example of cultural and religious heritage of the holiday and temporary in nature. And the district shall notify parents or guardians that they may, via written request, opt their students out of instruction based on their religious beliefs. And if that were to happen, the student should be given some other opportunity of instruction. It's not like, okay, you don't get to participate in this, and, you do offer them something different in the place. That's for the policy.
That language is in the health education policy.
Yes.
That's up for,
Yes.
review tonight.
Yeah, looks like there's need to add that. Mhm. For the regulation, the difference is specifically talks about the fact that if you are teaching any kind of religious studies, that, it's part of history. So you're to approach the religion as academic and not devotional when you're teaching. That the goal is for student awareness of religion in historical and contemporary societies. That you cannot press students to accept one religion over the other. You're just teaching in general. The schools may include the study of religion as part of the history and social science curriculum, but the practice of religion may not be sponsored. And students may be exposed to and educated about a diversity of religious views and beliefs, but a particular view or belief may not be imposed, nor may any one religion be promoted or denigrated. And staff shall make all efforts to be sure that they don't have one-time activities, whether it be a field trip, a award ceremony, or anything like that on a major religious holiday, regardless of what religion, because everybody knows what the different religious holidays are, to offer the opportunity to all students to be able to participate in these one-time activities. Those are the biggest changes in the religious beliefs, policy, and regulation.
So the issue that you had earlier that we talked about as far as the staff not wanting to participate in certain, but, call it as Halloween or whatever. What do we have as a district for that staff member during that time? Do we stop the activities in that classroom, or do you replace that staff for that day? Is there something in place that we have already to, be sympathetic to maybe somebody who is not, that goes against their religious beliefs? I mean, I don't know how often it comes up. I mean, you guys know more than I do, but.
I mean, things do come up sometimes in schools. Usually the students will be reassigned to another class. We usually ask the student, is there a class maybe you have extra work or you're working on big?
Well, I'm referring to the staff, the actual staff
Oh.
members. I
Okay,
haven't
sorry.
ever heard about that until recently, but I'm talking about the staff.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
So if everyone's doing Halloween stuff for Halloween.
I mean,
person-
I haven't seen that happen, but again, I mean, for a holiday,
For holiday.
I mean, if we're, for religion holidays, sometimes staff take off.
Yeah,
I mean, and we would get a sub.
we've had requests in the past where,
Mhm.
this is a religious holiday, but it's not, let's say a nationwide holiday.
Yeah.
And this is a time that I would like to go ahead and take off, and then, we'll connect them with HR to see, okay, what would apply here as far as, notating that as an absence day.
Okay. Cause I mean, there's a lot of people out there. Some people don't celebrate Halloween,
Right.
some people don't celebrate Christmas. So as long as we understand that and have somewhere to place them instead of saying, hey, no, you know what, you're gonna stay in the classroom, you're gonna teach this, you're gonna do your Christmas things and disregard your beliefs, so.
When it comes through, we just treat it individually
Okay.
and then direct them to HR, saying these are your options. If you do want to take a day off, or you want to be, let's say, outside the classroom, it's usually a day off.
Usually it's a day
I
off.
won't mention which site, but
Right.
there's a couple from one site, and so we kind of direct them to HR to say, this is what you could actually utilize to be off of.
Because the law is that if it is their religious holiday, they're entitled to take that day off. If it's not one that is federally recognized as a holiday, they can take the day off as a PN day,
Okay.
is what's
I
offered.
mean, the students actually can do that too. Those are now in excused absences.
Oh, really? All the major holidays, is that what you're talking about?
Jewish holidays, religion holidays,
Right.
Hindu holidays. There's a lot more leeway. You get excused absence now for their their parents are in one of the services and they're home. The kids that it used to be excused, that's considered an excused absence now,
What do you mean by in the services?
like in the army or the
really?
Marines. Yeah, and so say they're on duty and they are home for. And the student obviously hasn't seen their parent
Oh,
in
wow.
months, it's just kids now. Can, you know, if you call and say that your dad.
Like back to employment, here, yeah, that makes sense.
And that could be, you know, cause they might be, but now that's under law that's cause we're mandated by law too about what we're allowed to excuse. And that changed, I would say like 2 years ago.
Gotcha.
So back to the staff,
Sorry.
does the system have personal holiday or floating holiday?
We don't.
That would be one way to address it.
Well, everybody does receive 1 day per month that they accumulate that can be used as a sick or a PN day. And either way that they take it, they don't have to write down on the form the why. They don't have to tell us why they're taking that day off. So they do have the option, if they do not want to be here for that day for that, you know, to take it as a PN, and they don't have to explain the why. They just like, I need the PN day.
So is staff paid for literal time off at Christmas?
Well, it's part of their, so you know, the 3 weeks they have off, it's considered part of their contract, so they're paid like. Say $80,000 a year, that includes all your days off.
Right.
Like,
Okay, so, but
So,
what I'm getting at is, if I'm Christian, I get Christmas off.
Correct.
But if I'm not Christian, I get Christmas off.
you mean as a religious holiday?
Just,
that's
Or
part
just-
of winter break.
I'm navigating very carefully here. So,
No, I know where you're going.
I could say, well, I wanna work that day because I'm of a different faith.
Yes, but the difference is that it is a federally recognized holiday,
Okay.
and that's the key. When I researched all this, because that was brought up by someone, and that's what I found, that it's a federal holiday, so that's what everyone goes by. Now, yes, if you're not a Christian, if you are of another faith, yes, you're entitled to take the day off, but it specifically says in the law, if, you know, the employer, whether it's a district, private sector, will require you to take it as a sick day, vacation day, PN.
So the argument that, well, everybody else got the day off, but when it comes to National Can Day and he wants off. That you've already had that day off, so across the board, you've got that day off, just like everybody else. But you do have an option, our work calls it personal holidays. Or floating holidays, that way you can do, you know, whatever you want, and that's kind of a way to say, I want especially, but I get it. Good, we just had a very frank discussion and it's on tape, I think we covered it deeply, so if I go out there and say. We had a very thorough discussion, it was on tape, if there are any questions, visit the policy and management subcommittee meetings. And I think we should keyword
The religious.
the agenda item, so anyone could do a search on that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been, yeah.
So the last thing we have is bylaw, which is governance standard. Again, this was last updated by the district in 2007, and this is brand new. It just came out in September of this year. It discusses the roles and responsibilities of the board. And they want to be sure that the board is fulfilling its role by involving the community, parents, guardians, students, and staff in regularly developing or updating a common vision. The adopting and updating of policies consistent with law and the district visions and goals. Maintaining accountability for student learning by making sure that they continue to adopt new curriculum as it comes out and is monitoring student groups. Supporting the superintendent so that the vision, goal, and policies of the district can be implemented. Conducting regular and timely evaluations of the superintendent based on vision, goals, and performance of the district, and ensuring that the superintendent holds district personnel accountable. Adopting a fiscally responsible budget. ensuring that a safe and appropriate educational environment is provided to all students, and establishing a framework for the district's collective bargaining process and adopting responsible agreements, and providing community leadership on educational issues and advocating on behalf of students and public education at the local, state, and federal levels. These really are things that the board is doing currently. It's just now putting it in writing, but these are all the things that you're already doing, really. So,
You know that?
Are we gonna report out tonight?
Yes.
Do you have an issue if I read this, should have?
No, you got it. Oh, you.
Okay, cool. And then this will hit when?
it'll hit in December, so.
Remember.
Okay, so I'll read this tonight just so everybody has enough time. Usually, I don't know, 3 days before the agenda is released to make comments, maybe. I don't.
And that
Next
is
week, our next time is what the date's next? Is
December 11th.
December 11th. Anything to add for that one?
Is there anything in
I don't
particular
have
you would
any.
like me to find as far as updated policies, specific ones?
No, I like the way staff is self-guiding on this
Thank you,
stuff.
sir.
With that, anybody have anything else? Okay, it's 5:51, we'll adjourn this meeting.